Hare Krishna, welcome to this special program on the systematic study of the topmost revealed scripture, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before we begin today's session, I shall chant a few prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayeta Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, I would like to again welcome all the viewers for this special program on the systematic study of the topmost revealed scripture of this world, the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are currently in the study and analysis of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that contains 15 chapters and 750 shlokas or verses. The 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam contains the most wonderful history of one of the greatest devotees of the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, Prahlada. So the Prahlada Charitra is very, very wonderfully explained. We have already heard how the father of Prahlada, that is Hiranyakashipu, tried all methods. He tried hundreds and thousands of methods finally to kill Prahlada. So in this confrontation between the demoniac father, that is Hiranyakashipu, and his saintly son Prahlada, although Hiranyakashipu was very, very powerful, he was unable to harm Prahlada in any way because Prahlada was completely, perfectly protected by the Supreme Lord himself. Finally, when Hiranyakashipu again sent Prahlada back to the Gurukul, Prahlada, by his very effective method of preaching the Bhagavata Dharma, was able to convince all his classmates, all his friends who were the sons of the various demoniac rulers about the most important activity of devotional service in the human form of life, and he converted all his friends to also become Vaishnavas or pure devotees of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So now in the 8th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find that when the teachers of Prahlada, that is Shanda and Amarka, who are the sons of Shukracharya, so when they came back, they observed a grand celebration of Hari Kirtana, the singing and chanting and dancing of the holy names of the Supreme Lord, Shri Hari, Shri Krishna, going on. And so now the gurus of Prahlada at the Gurukul also gave up that it would not be possible for them to divert Prahlada from his fixed intelligence and consciousness on the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In fact, they became concerned and anxious that if Prahlada is allowed to stay longer in the Gurukula, he would even further convert all the children and maybe everyone in this world to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And Shanda and Amarka brought Prahlada back to the palace of Hiranyakashipu and explained the entire situation, that how Prahlada had influenced and brainwashed all his friends, all his classmates, and now the entire Gurukul, all the children had now taken up Hari Bhakti or devotional service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. When Hiranyakashipu heard that, how Prahlada had defied every command of his, he became intolerably angry, and then he challenged Prahlada by also declaring that that is Hiranyakashipu, was the supreme God, the supreme Lord in the entire universe. He says in 7.8.6 that Kruddhasya yasya kampante trayo loka saheshwaraha. The entire world obeys my command and is subservient to me. When I become angry, even the rulers of all the three worlds begin to shudder, begin to tremble in great fear. So tasya me abhitavan mudha shasanam kim balo atyagaha. How is it that a small child like you has become so impudent and you stand before me fearless, abhitavan, without any fear, and you overstep my power to rule on you, whereas I have conquered all the three worlds and I am the supreme God, I am the supreme Lord. So such are the words of demons like Hiranyakashipu. The one and only Supreme Personality of Godhead or God is the true God as revealed in all the Vedic scriptures, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is Vasudeva Shri Krishna. So he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and anyone else, especially a Jivatma, a Anu Amsha, a Jivatma, when claims to be the Vibhu Amsha or the Supreme Absolute Truth or the Supreme Personality of Godhead or God, that is the height, the greatest foolishness, the height of ignorance and foolishness. And the unfortunate part is that there are many such ignorant and foolish followers of such bogus, false incarnations of the Lord, especially in the present age, in Kali Yuga. So actually they are not even as strong and powerful as a demon like Hiranyakashipu, and yet they make tall and big claims that they are avatars or incarnations. So here we find Hiranyakashipu again and again declaring that he is the Supreme Lord and he is God. And he challenged Prahlada that where are you deriving your power? What is the source of your power? What is the source of your strength, of your bala, by which you are able to defy my supreme power? So this is the question, the final question asked by Hiranyakashipu to Prahlada. And again, every statement, every word, every letter spoken by the great devotee Prahlada is exemplary and displays the highest standard of bhakti or pure devotional service. The reply of Prahlada is very, very beautifully recorded in 7.8.7. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Na kevalam me bhavatascha rajan savai balam balinam cha paresham paravaremi sthirajangamaye brahmadayo ye navasham pranitaha. Prahlada replies that na kevalam me, the source of my energy, the source of my power and strength is also the source of bhavataha charajan, is also the source of your strength, your power. And in fact, savai balam balinam cha aparesham, he is the real source of strength of everyone, of all the living beings in this material world. And he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, Lord Shri Hari. So again, when Hiranyakashipu heard the glories of Lord Hari, whom in great ignorance Hiranyakashipu regarded Lord Vishnu as his greatest enemy, Hiranyakashipu could no longer tolerate these words spoken by his son, and he again said that definitely it is only by the call of death you seem to die very quickly, because of which you are speaking such impudent words before me. You have always been saying about an all-pervasive Lord, some Hari or Vishnu. Yastvaya manda bhagyokto mad anyo jagadishvaraha. You have always been referring to and mentioning a Supreme Lord apart from me, mad anyo jagadishvaraha. And you have always said that Kva aso yadi sa sarvatra, he is also present everywhere. Kasmat stambhena drishyate. Then Hiranyakashipu again challenged him that if your Lord Hari, if your Lord Vishnu is everywhere, then why is he not present in this huge pillar, in this column? So there was a huge pillar besides Hiranyakashipu, and he challenged Prahlada that if your Lord is everywhere, why is he not seen or present in this pillar? So Hiranyakashipu said that Soham vikathamanasya shirakayadharamite gopayeta haristwadya yaste sharanamipsitam. Because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God Hari come to protect you. And he says, I want to see it. So this is the challenging attitude of practically everyone in this material world in the present age. If anyone speaks about God, the immediate challenge is, can you show me God? This is actually the kind of a demoniac attitude because of the complete ignorance of the right knowledge of God. Say for example, even if I speak of a very important personality like the Prime Minister of India, it is not that immediately one should challenge and say that I don't even believe in the existence of the Prime Minister. If you have to prove it, you have to show him right now face to face. I should be able to see the Prime Minister right now. Only then I will believe. So even to meet a ordinary Prime Minister of a small country of this earth, which is a speck of the entire universe, one needs, there is a method, there is a procedure, there is a technique, and there is a path that one should follow in order to become eligible to meet the Prime Minister face to face. And the Supreme Lord, the creator of the innumerable universes, and the Supreme Lord of all the kings and prime ministers, and even of all the devatas of this universe, we are so foolish and impudent that we want to meet him right now face to face and give this challenge. show me God, what is our qualification? What is the method that you have applied? What have you done to come to see God face to face? So there is a method, there is a technique, there is a path very clearly given in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we follow that, we can definitely see the Supreme Lord face to face and meet Him. So one should develop the right knowledge and the right attitude for the understanding of God and the path to see Him. And we should not be impudent like Hiranyakashipu and say that just show me God. So now when Hiranyakashipu challenged Prahlada in this way, Hiranyakashipu also hit upon the pillar, the huge column that he had indicated to Prahlada, that if your Lord Hari is everywhere, is he there in this pillar also? And in reply, Prahlada had said, yes, definitely my Lord is there in this pillar as well. So now Hiranyakashipu struck this column with his mace very, very powerfully. With all his might, he struck at this column, at this pillar, and at that time there was a thunderous roar which reverberated all across the universe to the limits of the sky and even beyond it. And everyone in that assembly of Hiranyakashipu was greatly frightened and shell-shocked to hear this great roar, except for Prahlada, who knew that his Lord is now going to appear. He has appeared now. So Hiranyakashipu also was greatly astonished, and at that time from the pillar, from the column emerged, breaking apart that pillar, emerged a very, very unique being whose form was, it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Stambhe Sabhayam Namrigham Namanusham. From that stambha, from that pillar appeared in that sabha, in that assembly, Adrishyata Ati Adbhuta Rupam. Adrishyata, no one had ever seen such a form, which was also Ati Adbhuta, the most wonderful, the most astonishing Rupam, the form. And Namrigham Namanusham, it was neither that of an animal like lion nor that of a man. So thus the Supreme Lord now appeared in the assembly hall of Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu very carefully observed the form of the Supreme Lord. It is very beautifully explained in 7.8.19 to 22 in 4 verses. The vision of Hiranyakashipu of the divine form of the Supreme Lord in his very, very special avatara incarnation. So Hiranyakashipu observed that Mimam Samanasya Samuttito Grato Narasimha Rupastadalam Bhayanakam Prataptachami Karachandalochanam Spudat Satakeshara Jimbitananam Karaladamshram Kalavala Chanchala Kshuranta Jihvam Brukuti Mukholbanam Stabdhodvakarnam Girikandaradbhuta Vyattasya nasam hanubheda bhishanam divi sprishatkaya madirgha pivara grivoruvakshasthalam alpamadhyamam chandram shugoresh churitam tanuruher vishvadbhujani kasatam nakhayudham durasadam sarva nije tarayudha Pravekavidravita Daityadanavam. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord. It is a kind of meditation by Hiranyakashipu, trying to understand what this form of the Lord was, and he concluded that this is Narasimha Rupa. This is the form of Lord, the Supreme Lord, in his very, very special incarnation as Narasimha, half man and half lion. So he observed that the Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword, his ears were erect and motionless, his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like the caves of a mountain, his jaws parted fearfully, his entire divine form practically touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest was broad, his waist thin, the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions, and whatever demons came towards him, he killed all of them with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus and other natural weapons, especially by his Nakhayudha, by the weapon of his nails. So now Prayena meyam harino rumayina vadhasmrito nena samudyatena kim evam rumam stvad Tvabhyapatad Gadayudho Nadandag Simham Prati Daitya Kunjaraha. Hiranyakashipu took his Gada Ayudha with his mace, with his club, and rushed at Lord Narasimha. And then there was a terrible fight, a great battle between Lord Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu. Lord Narasimha enjoyed the pastime, the Leela of fighting with Hiranyakashipu for some time, and finally when it was the time of dusk in the evening, which was neither day nor the night, it was neither indoors nor outdoors, so on the border at the doorway, that is called also as Hosalu in Kannada. So at that place Lord Narasimha placed Hiranyakashipu on his lap, so which was neither on the ground nor in the sky. So he placed Hiranyakashipu on his lap, and his form was neither of a man or of any animal or any other living being. And Lord Narasimha used sharp nails, which are not any kind of a weapon, to rip apart the demon king Hiranyakashipu. So finally Lord Narasimha killed Hiranyakashipu and rid the entire world from the terror unleashed by this demoniac king Hiranyakashipu. So after the killing of Hiranyakashipu by the Supreme Lord Narasimha, all the Devatas and all the great personalities of the entire universe assembled, gathered in that assembly, and Tatasabhayam upavishtamuttame nripasane sambrita tejasam vibhum alakshitadvai rathamatyamakshanam prachanda vaktram nababhaja kaschana. Lord Narasimha then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of King Hiranyakashipu. So this is also a very important thing to note, that originally Hiranyakashipu is eternal associate of the Supreme Lord from Vaikuntha Loka, that is Jaya, and therefore although the Supreme Lord never sits on the throne, even when invited by all the Devatas of this material world in the Svargaloka, he always is invited by all these Devatas and many other personalities, but Never in the history of the world has the Supreme Lord ever accepted the invitation and sat on the throne of any of the Dikpalakas, nor even in Brahmaloka on the throne of Lord Brahma, nor on the throne of Indra. But now, nevertheless, the Supreme Lord sat on the throne, which was made by Hiranyakashipu with a great amount of effort. So, actually, the Supreme Lord accepted this service of his eternal associate Jaya, and he sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu. And now all the Devatas approached the Supreme Lord and offered many wonderful prayers, beginning with Lord Brahma, who prays in 7.8.40, Brahmo Vacha नतोऽस्म्यनन्ताय दुरन्तशक्तये विचित्रवीर्याय पवित्रकर्मणे विश्वस्य सर्गास्थितिसंयमान् गुणैः स्वलीलया सन्दतते अव्ययात्मने. Lord Brahma offered his prayer, "O my Lord, you are unlimited and you possess infinite potencies. No one can estimate or calculate your prowess and wonderful influence. For your actions are never polluted by the material energy. You very easily create the entire universe, you maintain it, and you again annihilate it, yet you remain the same without any deterioration. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you." Then number 2, the prayers were offered by Lord Shiva, who prays in 7.8.41 as Shri Rudra Uvacha Kopakalo Yugantaste Hatoyam Asurolpakaha Tatsutam Pahyupasritam Bhaktam Te Bhaktavatsala. Lord Shiva offered his prayers to Lord Narasimha. The end of the millennium is the real time of your anger. Now that this insignificant demon, who is Alpakaha, very insignificant demon Hiranyakashipu, has been killed. "O my Lord, you are naturally affectionate to your devotee. Kindly protect his son Prahlada, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee, and please give up your anger." So then Indra came forward. Number 3, Indra came forward and offered his prayers. Shri Indra Uvacha Pratyanita Paramabhavata Trayata Nasvabhaga Daityakrantam Hridaya Kamalam Tadgriham Pratyabodhi Kalagrastam Kiyadidam Aho Natha Shushrushatam Te Muktistesham Nahi Bahumata Narasimha Parekim. King Indra prayed, "O Supreme Lord, you are our deliverer and eternal protector. Our share of sacrifices, which are actually yours, had been taken away by the demon Hiranyakashipu, and now the demon King Hiranyakashipu has been killed. Our hearts, which are your permanent abode, have again become pacified. By your presence, the gloom and darkness in our hearts has been dissipated. O Supreme Lord, for those who always engage in your service, which is even more exalted than moksha or liberation, all material opulence is insignificant. The pure devotees do not even care for liberation. What to speak of the benefits of kama, artha, and dharma? So in this way, the various sages, Shri Rishaya Uchuhu, the great sages, Shri Pitara Uchuhu, all the Pitris, the Siddhas, and the Vidyadharas, the Nagas, the Kimpurushas, the Manus, the Prajapatis, the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the various other living entities, everyone, the Vaitalikas, the Kinnaras, Finally, the Vishnu Pakshadas offer their prayers in 7.8.56 as Shri Vishnu Pakshada Uchuhu Adyaitad Hari Nararupam Adbhutam Te Drishtam Naha Sharanada Sarvaloka Sharma Soyam Te Vidhikara Isha Viprashaptaha Tasyedam Nidhanam Anugrahaya Vidmaha. Only the Vishnu Pakshadas, the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, knew about the real identity of Hiranyakashipu, and therefore they offered this prayer that, O Supreme Lord, our supreme giver of shelter, today we have seen your wonderful form as Lord Narasimhadeva, which is meant for the good fortune of the entire world. O Lord, we can understand that Hiranyakashipu was the same Jaya who engaged in your service but was cursed by the 4 Kumaras and who thus received the body of a demon. We understand that that his having now been killed is actually your Anugrahaya Vidmaha. We understand that this is your special mercy upon Hiranyakashipu, who is originally your eternal associates. So after all the various personalities of the universe offered their wonderful prayers to Lord Narasimha, yet Lord Narasimha's anger and fury was not yet pacified. So at that time, finally, Lord Brahma understood the mind and heart of the Supreme Lord and pushed forward Mahabhagavato Arbhakaha, the small child Prahlada, in front of the Supreme Lord. And Prahlada came forward and offered his respectful obeisances to Lord Narasimha. And at that time, in 7.9.5, there is this very beautiful description that Swapadamule patitam tamarbhakam vilokya devaha kripaya pariplutaha utthapya tatshi shani adadhat karambujam kalahi vitrastadhiyam kritabhayam. When Lord Narasimha saw the small child Prahlada prostrated at his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in loving affection towards his pure devotee Prahlada. Lord Narasimha personally raised up Prahlada and placed his lotus hand Kara Ambujam upon the boy's head, because the lotus hand of the Supreme Lord is always ready to create fearlessness in all his devotees. So the Supreme Lord's hand is therefore also called as Abhaya Hasta, the hand that always bestows Abhaya or complete fearlessness from everything. So this was the most special mercy of Lord Narasimha upon Prahlada, that he raised him up and placed his lotus hand upon Prahlada. So now Prahlada was greatly joyful, and now in the 9th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam are recorded the most wonderful prayers offered by the greatest devotee Prahlada to Lord Narasimha. These are the some of the topmost prayers offered in the history of the world, offered by Prahlada from 7.9.8 onwards. So let us now absorb and dive into the wonderful infinite ocean of the most loving and devotional prayers offered by Prahlada to Lord Narasimhadeva. In 7.9.8, Prahlada says that Shri Prahlada Uvacha Brahmadaya Suragana Munayotha Siddha Sattvaikatana Vachasam Pravahaihi Naradhitum Puruganer Adhunapi Pipruhu Kim Toshtumarhati Same Haridugrajatehi. Prahlad Maharaj prayed. First he expressed his great humility. That is the characteristic of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is always very humble and meek. So here Prahlada prays that, "O my Supreme Lord, how is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of Asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Until now, all the Devatas headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as all the saintly persons, have offered streams of excellent words and prayers. And although they are highly qualified, they have not been able to satisfy you and pacify you. Then what is it to be said of me? I am not at all qualified." So then Prahlada continues his prayers that, "Manye dhanabhijana rupa tapashvutaujas तेज प्रभाव बल पौरुष बुद्धि योगाः नाराधनाय हि भवन्ति परस्य पुंसो भक्त्या तुतोष भगवान् गजयूथपाय." But the actual fact is also that none of the material qualifications can satisfy or worship the Supreme Lord. One may possess a lot of wealth, a great family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, mystic yoga. One may be a greatest devata or a great sage, but by all these qualifications, actually one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one can satisfy the Supreme Lord simply by bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayuthapaya. And Prahlada also gives the example that even Gajendra, the king of the elephants, followed this principle and he was able to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, Prahlada continues offering many wonderful prayers. In the 15th verse, Prahlada says that, "Naham bibhemya chitateti bhayanakasya जिह्वार्कनेत्र भुरुकुटीरभसोग्रदंष्ट्रान् आन्त्रस्रजक्षतजकेशर शङ्कुकर्णान् निह्रादभीतदिगिभादरिभिन्नखाग्रात्." My Lord, who are Ajita, never conquered by anyone, I am certainly not afraid. Na aham bibhemi. I am not afraid of your ferocious form, your mouth and tongue, and all your ferocious features. But I am afraid, and that he explains in the next verse, that Trastosmyaham kripanavatsala dussahogra samsara chakra kadanangrasatam pranitaha baddhasvakarma bhirushattamate moolam prito pavarga sharanam hyavase kadanu. O most powerful Supreme Lord, you are most kind to all the fallen souls. I am afraid of my position in this material world because I have been put into the association of demons, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. And he says, when will that moment come when you will call me back to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from conditional life? So Prahlada, in great anticipation, is mentioning that when would that opportune time come when I would come back to the spiritual world and engage in your eternal devotional service. Prahlada also very nicely explains that the real shelter, the real source of ultimate protection in this material world is only the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. All other methods of protection are incomplete and are dependent on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord, and they can be effective in providing protection only if the Lord wills it. Otherwise, even the best of so-called protection in this material world is bound to fail and protect. This is very nicely explained by Prahlada in 7.9.19 as Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nagsimha nagtasya chagadamudanvati majjato nauhu taptasya tat pratividharya ihancha seshtas tavan vibho tanubhritam tvadupekshitanam. O Lord Narsimha, O Supreme Lord, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls in this material world have neglected and not cared for you, cannot do anything actually for their betterment or protection. Whatever remedies they accept, although temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, one may think that the best protection for a child, Bala, is the Pitaro, the parents, or for a person who is deceased, one may think the best protection is the medicine or the doctor or a physician. Likewise, for a majjataha, for a person who is drowning in water, one may think that the best protection can be given by a nauka, by a boat. But here Prahlada says, who has went through all the tribulations and dangers of this world when he was attacked by Hiranyakashipu, who tried all means to kill Prahlada. He has the personal experience, and therefore Prahlada is expressing that none of them are the true or the real protection in this material world. The only true protection is the shelter and protection of the Supreme Lord, without which even the best of so-called material protection would be ineffective. The parents may not be able to protect the child. The best of the physician or the best of medicine may not be able to cure a deceased person. And even the best of boat may not be able to protect a person in water, and it may drown, like we have the example of the most famous ship, the Titanic, which was supposed to be the most expensive and the best ship made till that time, but even that sunk. So in this way, Prahlada says that the supreme protection can be given only by the Supreme Lord. Like this, Prahlada continues his very wonderful prayers, which are the best standard of prayers offered by devotees. So he further says that Naisha paravara matir bhavato nanusyad jantor yathatma suhrido jagatastathapi samsevaya surataro rivate prasadaha sevanurupamudayo na paravaratmam. That the ultimate perfection is that I pray for only one thing for you, my Lord, that may I always be engaged in your devotional service. And in fact, Prahlada further prays, this is a very important and beautiful prayer, that what should we actually pray from the Supreme Lord? That is expressed by Prahlada in 7.9.28 as Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kamabhikamamanuyah prapatan prasangat kritvatmasat suragshina bhagavan grihitaha soham katham nu visrije tava britya sevam. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I ever leave his service? So that is the ultimate perfection in spiritual life, to become not the direct servant or devotee of the Supreme Lord, but to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. Gopi bhaktuhu padakamalayoho dasa dasanudasaha. That is the highest perfection in pure devotional service. Prahlada also says, Prahlada is the epitome of the supreme compassion of a pure devotee, a pure Vaishnava. So therefore Prahlada says that I am not afraid of this material world nor of any condition in material existence, because I am always absorbed in pure devotional service. But I am always concerned about the other living beings in this material world who have turned away from you. In 7.9.43, Prahlada expresses that Naivod Paraduratya Vaitaranyas Twadviryagaya Namahamritamagna Chittaha Shochetato Vimukhachetasa Indriyartha Maya Sukhaya Bharamudvahato Vimudhan. That I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I may be, in heaven or hell, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities, and in this way I am complete. But my concern is only for the foolish people who are absorbed in material world, making elaborate plans for material happiness. And so therefore Prahlada says that I am greatly concerned with affection for them, that when would they understand the significance and importance of attaining liberation from material bondage. So he further prays that Prayena deva munayasva vimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena pararthanishtaha naitan vihaya kripanan vimumuksha eko nanyam twadasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. Prahlada also says that Prayena Munayaha, mostly the saintly persons of this world, they go to a solitary place, to an isolated place, and engage in spiritual activities. But they are selfish, svavimukti kama. They are interested only in their personal liberation. What about all the other people of this world? And therefore, Prahlada says that Na etan vihaya, leaving aside all the living entities of this world, vimumuksha ekaha, I do not desire to be liberated alone. So therefore, I shall continue to stay back in this material world and inspire everyone in this material world to return back to the spiritual world, and then I shall return back. So that is the supreme compassion and mercy of the great devotee Prahlada. Then after Prahlada offered his most wonderful prayers to Lord Narasimha, Lord Narasimha was completely satisfied, completely pacified. He gave up all his anger, and he then asked Prahlada that I am very pleased, I am supremely pleased with your behavior, with your devotional service, with your bhakti, and Prahlada, you may ask whatever you wish for. So this is again a very wonderful instance. The Supreme Lord is there and he's asking his devotee that you can ask anything that you wish for. And at that time Prahlada replies by saying that Britya Lakshana Jignasur Bhaktam Kameshva Chodayat Bhavan Samsara Bijeshu Hridaya Granthishu Prabho. That, O my worshipable Lord, the seed of lusty desires is actually the root cause of material existence, and that is in the core of everyone's heart. Therefore, you have sent me to this material world just to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee who is completely free from all material desires, even from the seed of any material desires. Otherwise, you would not have asked this question. This kind of a allurement would not have been offered by you to me. Na anyatha te khila guru ghateta karunatmanaha yasta ashisha ashaste nasabhrityaha savaivanik. Oh my Lord, you are so kind that you could not induce him to do something not beneficial for him by giving him any kind of material thing. So therefore, Prahlada says the real meaning of bhakti is not to aspire for any material benefit. Sometimes, in fact, most of the times, it can be observed that people practice bhakti or devotional service or perform any worship or puja, yajna or any kind of a vrata vow with the intention of gaining some material benefit. So they say that if you fulfill this desire of mine, I shall offer you 10 coconuts, or I shall walk up the entire hill and come to a temple. So in this way they have so many material desires. But here Prahlada has said that if anyone has any material desires in the execution of bhakti or devotional service, that is not bhakti but is simply a business transaction. Yasta ashisha ashaste. Anyone who has got material desires, nasabhrityaha, he is not a devotee or a servant. Savai vanik, he is simply a vanik, means a businessman. Just like if you go to a businessman, he will never say that you can take whatever you want for free. If he is giving one product in one hand, in the other hand he is taking some money. So likewise, when we offer our devotional service, it may be a patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, and in return we ask for so many material desires from the Supreme Lord. That is not bhakti. That is simply we are acting like a merchant, and a merchant or a businessman cannot satisfy the Supreme Lord. He is satisfied only by pure bhakti. So in this way, Prahlada declines to accept any vara, any benediction from the Supreme Lord. He further says that aham tu akamastvad bhaktaha tvam cha swami anapashrayaha nanyathe havayoragtho rajasevakayoriva. O my Lord, I am your eternal servant and you are my eternal master. There is no need of our being anything other than master and servant. You are naturally my master and I am naturally your servant. This is our eternal position. We have no other relationship. So please do not offer any material benediction to me. In case, in 7.10.7, Prahlada says that yadi dasyasi me kaman varamstvam varadangshabha kamanam hridya samroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. If at all you want to give me a benediction, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart let there be no material desires. So actually, although Prahlada declined to accept any benedictions, we find that actually Prahlada has asked for 3 specific benedictions. The first benediction he asks is that I want to remain in this material world till I send all the living entities back to the spiritual world. So Prahlada has prayed for the deliverance and liberation of all the living entities of this material world. Second, Prahlada has prayed that let there be absolutely no material desires in his heart. And the third benediction that Prahlada further prays is that my father Hiranyakashipu committed many offenses. He says, Shri Prahlada Uvacha Varam Varaya Etatte Varadeshan Maheshwara Yad Anindat Pita Me Tvam Avidvam Steja Aishwaram. So my Pita, my father, out of ignorance committed many great offenses at your lotus feet. So now Prahlada in his third prayer is praying for his greatest so-called enemy, his own father Hiranyakashipu, who gave him all kinds of troubles and difficulties and tried to kill him in all ways. For that person Prahlada is praying. So that is the supreme compassion and mercy of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, that they pray even for their greatest enemies. And when Prahlada prayed in this manner, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trisaptabhi Pita Putaha Pitribihi Sahate Nagha Yat Sadhosya Kule Jato Bhavan Vai Loka Pavanaha. My dear Prahlada, your father, because of you were born in this family, the entire dynasty, not only Hiranyakashipu, your father, 21 forefathers in your family, your entire dynasty has been purified just because of a pure devotee like you, Prahlada. So in this way, this is the wonderful conversation, the dialogue, the interaction between Lord Narasimha and his pure devotee Prahlada. And then the Supreme Lord Narasimha disappeared, and now Prahlada became the king of the demoniac planets, and especially of the Sutala Loka. So now Prahlada became the king of the Asuras, and in this way the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto very beautifully narrates Prahlada Charitra, the glorious activities of the great pure devotee Prahlada. Anyone who simply hears of the qualities, the devotional qualities of Prahlada, the wonderful narration of the appearance of Lord Narasimha, the prayers offered by Prahlada, so becomes at once purified of all material contamination and becomes eligible to attain the supreme perfection of returning back home, back to Godhead. So this was declared by the Supreme Lord Narasimha himself. So now after that, this was actually narrated. The entire Prahlada Charitra comes as a conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni. So then Yudhishthira further in from the 11th chapter to the 15th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam inquires from the great sage Narada about the various duties of the 4 Varnas and the 4 Ashramas, the 4 Varnas of the social orders of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and especially about the 4 Ashramas of Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So in these 5 chapters of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada gives the perfect descriptions of the duties of the 4 social orders and the 4 spiritual orders. And in this way, we conclude the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you have any questions or inquiries about today's subject matter, you are most welcome to post it in the WhatsApp group or in the comments box. Please do like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please do join us for the continuation of the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.